You think that you can just sell your business tomorrow? I mean, no, absolutely not. I don't care if you've got buyers lined up out the door. This process takes time. On average, it takes 9 to 12 months minimum. And if you skip any of these steps, you're going to get burned. And that's what we're going to talk about today on the YouTube show. Let's get into it right now. In 3, in 2, in 1. In this episode, guys, we're just going to break down 10 steps. That's right. Not 1, not 2, but 10 steps that goes into selling your business. It is a process, and sometimes it's grueling. Trust me, I know. But it's not fantasy bullshit that I'm going to give you guys. Whether you're a seller trying to exit or a buyer trying to acquire, this is the 30,000 foot view that you need. I'm not going to go into detail on all the specifics. I'm going to run through these 10 and give you brief descriptions on what each actually entails. But yeah, there's 10. Because even when you're ready to walk away tomorrow, the game has only just begun. Before I get into it, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, hit the subscribe icon, and share it with everybody. And make sure that you follow me on social media. We've got so much good content. I'm telling you, just follow me on Instagram, and I promise you will not be disappointed. So I was just having a conversation now with a company, with a founder, actually an old friend of mine, and he's literally, I sent him a text, and he called me. He's like, dude, I was just having this conversation because I'm thinking about selling my business. He's like, but I'm in no rush. And I said, great. I said, but I will tell you that even if you wanted to sell your business tomorrow, it's going to take 9 to 12 months. And he's like, really? I said, yeah. He's like, I don't care. He said around 2 to 3 years. I'm like, all right, cool. So what I'm suggesting is let's have a sit down talk and let's find out where the gaps of your business are. What are the things that make it not transferable? And I literally said, for example, if you don't have good systems and operations, and he interrupted me and said, oh, my systems and operations are terrible. And I said, perfect. Over the next 6 months after we sit down, of course, we're going to want to make sure that you get all of your systems and operations tight. I'm talking Loom videos, documents, all kinds of stuff, because the goal is to make it transferable to the buyer that comes in so that you can get the ultimate, get max multiple. The less risk a company has, the bigger of a multiple that you're going to be able to sell it for. So with that said, I told him, I said, it should be about 6 months or a year that we should do. He's like, oh, cool. Then I could sell in a year. I said, no, that's 6 months to a year. It's just to prepare the business to sell. Then once we put it on the market, it's another 9 to 12 months. It's me contacting all the potential buyers that may be interested on my buyers list. Then it's actually putting it into a public market. By public market, I say we just give away minimal information on, say, a biz buy sell. And then any buyer that's interested has to sign an NDA. And then we go through that process. You get a lot of people that want to buy a company that really are just window shopping. Happens all the time, and they're not serious. And then we have to set up interviews and all kinds of stuff, which we're going to get into right now. My name is Vince Perri, and I'm here to share with you a tool that can literally transform your business. The name of that tool is called Jobber. It's a CRM, and it's a top-rated field service management app. It's honestly trusted by over 300,000 pros. It centralizes quoting, scheduling, invoicing, and payments into one streamlined platform. The mobile app, by the way, incredible. It does mobile quoting to GPS dispatch and seamless invoicing. Everything is organized and accessible. Whether you're in the office or on the field, you could use it flawlessly. Using Jobber can literally save you upwards of 7 hours a week just by automating admin tasks and enhancing customer communication. And what's even better is if you click the link below, you get it through us, then you're actually gonna get not only a 14-day free trial, but you'll get 20% off of the first 6 months that you actually use the software. In my opinion, it's a no-brainer. And by the way, they don't even take your credit card information during the 14-day free trial. So it's literally 14 days free. They don't ask you for the credit card until the end of the 14 days. And then when you do, if you sign up through this link, you get 6 months at 20% off. 10 steps to selling your business. Let's go right into it. First, number one, if you want to sell your business, gather the financials. I need to see 3 years of profit and loss, 3 years of tax returns, and 3 years of balance sheets. That's right. That's the most that I need, not the bare minimum. If you have less than that, I might be able to work with it, but that's very important. So clean your books. If you can't pull these items in like less than 24 hours, you're not ready to sell. So you have to clean your books because those are the financials that I'm going to need to do step number 2, which is get the valuation. I need to put a valuation together, but I need to have the proper numbers. I need to have the right add backs, so on and so forth. We analyze the numbers, we normalize the earnings, and we get a real market value. I sit down with you and I find out exactly where the holes are in your business. And if you've got all those holes covered, which most businesses do not, but if you do, you're going for maximum multiple here. And if you don't, we're going to have to think of some kind of roadmap so that you could potentially fill those holes as quickly as possible if you really do want to sell. Step number 3, for you and I to work together, we have to have a contract signed. That's right. It's called a listing agreement. This basically locks you in with your advisor, whether it's with me or anybody else. It could be a broker. It could be a banker. There's a lot of different people that can do it. It's not just a business broker. And we just have an agreement that no matter what happens during the terms of this agreement, you're going to pay your fee for all the work that we're going to put into it. And yes, I will tell you, even if you find your own buyer, you still have to pay the broker or whoever it is that you signed up for. Typically, a business broker gets 10%. 10% is what we get of the deal. So even if you bring the buyer, like I said, we still get it. It's not a handshake deal. This is a legal document. It is binding that you have to sign in order to do that. Step number 4 is we create the blind teaser. A blind teaser is usually a one-pager. If you go right now on bizbuysell.com, you'll see them everywhere. It's basically, there's no private information. So you don't have any names of the owners. You don't have the names of the business. You don't have any addresses. You really just have like the cash flow and what the business is selling for. You get the cash flow and how much they want for the business, and you get a little bit of information. Usually it's very, very positive, so you don't really have an idea of what's going on. So this is just like, it's like a bait piece. It's a one-page marketing landing page, for example. If as a buyer is actually interested now in this business, in this teaser that was created and has been marketed, and whether it's on Biz by Sell, guys, these blind teasers, they'll go out to all of my potential buyers first and foremost. That's the first place that I send it to see if any of them have interest. If they do have interest, then they have to request an NDA, a non-disclosure. They have to sign an NDA in order to get all of the sensitive and private information of that business. Once they sign an NDA, now I'm going to send them all the information. It usually comes in the form of a report, and that report is normally and typically the term used is a CIM. And CIM stands for Confidential Information Memorandum. All it is, it's confidential information of the business. What this is basically, it's a deep dive on all of it. I'm talking financials, organizational charts, customers, growth plan, not customer names, but the growth plan, financials, organizational chart, salaries, profit and loss, cash balance statements, like all of it. This is, think of this as like your business's resume, okay? It not only needs to be marketable and very attractive because it is also a marketing document, but it also has all the information. But as brokers, as people who are selling the businesses, we do like to also make the CIMs also look very appealing. Like this is the most amazing business that you've ever looked at because there's more to it. But once you sign the NDA, once you get the CIM, okay, then after that, if you are really interested as a buyer, for example, we're going to have to set up interviews, right? So the seller is going to want to interview whoever it is that's interested in their business. You know, the seller, think about it. You've owned this business for a very long time. And you're not selling it to your kids, you're not selling it to your employees, you're selling it to some stranger. And as much as we say we don't care about legacy, which I'm really one that doesn't, but you want what you've built to sort of carry on. Typically, the sellers want to make sure that the buyer has similar values, right? That's really what you're looking for. It's just, you know, similar values that line up and that they're going to actually take this business and take it to the next level. Then there's a negotiation. So the interviews happen, and then there's a negotiation on how much they actually want to buy it for. Typically, the buyer will offer less than what is actually offered, but if the seller agrees or if the seller stands still, whatever it is that they agree on, they will agree and they will sign an LOI. LOI stands for letter of intent. Letter of intent basically now gives that potential buyer exclusivity to ultimately do their due diligence, which is the next step. Due diligence is intense. This is the audit, okay? This is the audit of the business. This is literally taking your business and taking its clothes off. It's attorneys, accountants. Sometimes it can be forensics that go into it. I mean, they dig into everything. If your books are messy, the deal can get ugly fast. And if you do not disclose everything, and if God forbid it comes up at the closing table, which is one of the next steps, then guess what? The deal could be off because now you just can't be trusted. So it's, again, undressing and taking the clothes off of your business and really showing them everything. And they hire their own people to dive into your books. And quite frankly, the letter of intent specifically states that they are allowed to look under the hood and to look at everything that's going on, because you have to understand the buyer is spending hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions of dollars, and they want to make sure that they're making the best deal possible. Step number 9 is the final deal structure. This is everything's negotiable. If the buyer now actually wants to pay less based on what he found in due diligence, he can make that offer. And ultimately, it's up to the seller to agree on it. And a lot of times, if the seller has actually gone through this much time and giving them all this information, they kind of want to get it off their back. I hate to say it, but it is what it is. But everything's negotiable here. The purchase price, but also earnouts, holdbacks, seller financing, transition terms, like all that stuff is on the table to negotiate. This is really where the deal is made or it's broken. And typically, honestly, the broker and the bankers aren't really so much involved. It's a lot of attorneys that are involved in this one to make sure that the transaction and the contract actually makes sense. And then the last one is the closing. It's the closing and the transition. These are the final signatures. This is where the wire hits. This is where the money is transferred. Basically, it's the handoff. And I'm talking handoff of employees, clients, phone numbers, emails, addresses, all of it. The works is transferred. Your legacy is in someone else's hands right now. Your homework is just to make sure that you're thinking about selling. It's a long process and you want to do this tonight. So what I'd like for you to do is just gather your last 3 years financials. Gather the profit and loss and the cash balance statement and your tax returns. And then ask yourself, was that easy to find? Can I actually provide this within 24 hours? Because if you can't, you ain't even close. So make sure you have clean books, make sure they have everything. And that's all we got, guys. Make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe. I think you're going to get a lot out of this show. If you didn't get something out of there, probably a lot of you guys didn't know that there was 10 steps to this process. So yeah, like, subscribe, follow me on social media, share with this everybody that you can. And if you are a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, and whether you're thinking about selling or not, I'm telling you, you're going to get something out of this show. So make sure that you go ahead and follow us and watch next week. See you later. Peace out.